that important a word. Now, so what is this word? So this word is called adaptation. What is the meaning of adaptation? Who will be able to throw some light on this word?
Now, it is when you get comfortable with a surrounding or a place.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please do.
The ability of a living organism to adjust themselves to the surroundings is called adaptation.
Correct, correct. So basically, if I say that, there's this house in Delhi, right, where, Fawaz used to stay here, right, and then he shifted. So this was the house in Delhi, right, and then he shifted to a new house in Dubai, right. So he basically shifted from Delhi to Dubai, right. Now, for him to get adjusted and to be comfortable to this new house in Dubai is adaptation. For example, during the winters, Delhi is cold as 10 degrees Celsius, whereas Dubai can be as hot as 50 degrees Celsius. Right, Fawaz? Correct? So in Delhi,
Yes, ma'am.
correct. So basically, he has to adapt himself to his surroundings. In Delhi,
Are you talking about Delhi in winters or Delhi in summers?
yeah, Delhi in winters, of course. When it's 10 degrees, it's almost winters. December, January, right? In Delhi, Fawaz used to go out in the evening to play in a, garden, right? Similarly, he would try and find out if there is a lawn or a garden nearby to his house, so that he could go out in the evening and play, right? So that is something whereby he's trying to adjust himself. What would Fawaz do in the evenings in Dubai once that he has shifted? He's got so habituated playing in the evening. So he would try and find out a place. Similarly, in Dubai, I'm just giving you an example. He might have a study table in his room. He might have a small study table or a big study table, or might not have a study table in his room, right? So he has to again adjust himself to the new study table that's there in the Dubai house, right? So he has to slowly and slowly adjust himself. These little changes, these little adjustments are called adaptations. Is it clear? Right? So,
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
yeah, so Pragya, we were discussing about this word called adaptation. Adaptation is basically, the changes that, we normally make to adapt, to adjust ourselves to a new surrounding or to our already existing surrounding. That is called adaptation. Right. So now if that was adaptation, then what is acclimatization?
The ability of an organism to make small adjustments or changes in the body in a short period of time to adjust itself to the surrounding atmosphere is called acclimatization. Ma'am, this means that the changes like adaptations are the things that come from a long time. It took hundreds or maybe even thousands of years. But acclimatization means that we quickly, in a short period of time, adapt to the surroundings.
Correct. So basically,
Like mountaineers.
correct. So who remembers the example of the mountaineer that a
Ma'am, can
mountain?
I have a try?
Yeah, please do.
Ma'am, you also told this to us in the plant chapter we did.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that is exactly the same example that I
Yes,
want
ma'am,
you
I
to recall.
forgot a bit about it, but I just roughly remember it.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can I tell the example?
Yes, please go ahead, Neha.
Yeah. What you have given the example when you were teaching the flower vase. If a mountaineer is trying to climb a mountain, first they will camp at the base for 2 or 3 days, and they will get adapted with the coldness or something like that. And after that, they will climb a certain distance and they will camp there.
Correct.
They will maybe staying there for 3 days, like that. They will be going up. slowly and camping,
Hmm.
doing and coming down like that.
Correct. Very good. Good that you recollected well, Neha. So basically, we all know that the tip of the mountain or the peak of the mountain is extremely cold. It is sub-zero, as in it is less than zero. Sub means lesser than zero. It could be as cold as minus 2 degrees Celsius. Or even less. It could be, minus 20 also, for all you know. Right? So if a mountaineer has to scale the mountain and he has to, stand up here in the peak and, make his India proud, make his country proud, what will he do? Basically, this entire stretch, if one has to go at one go, might take 5 days. Right? But nobody will be able to cover it in 5 days. Why? Because, they will break up this entire portion into 5, 6, 7, depending on their own physical condition. They will break up the trip into several intervals. Right? So on day one, only because in a mountain, the oxygen is so less, higher you go up with increasing
Many
altitude.
people faint also while doing that.
Why do they faint? Why do they faint, Ramika?
They don't
Because
get
there are low oxygen levels.
Low oxygen levels. Faint means, your brain, your heart is not getting the sufficient oxygen. Right? So, when we
Ma'am, faint in
yawn,
Hindi is behosh, or in English it's
behosh,
unconscious.
unconscious, yes. So you lose your consciousness, as in your brain stops working for a few seconds, for a few minutes, right? And there will be attempt to bring you back to your senses. Right? Now, the process of yawning, if you know, is also an involuntary way to take in more oxygen when our body is short of oxygen. Right? So everything revolves around oxygen only. Even when you go, when you fly, when you are in the aeroplane, you will be finding with higher, altitude, your ears might pain, right? You
And
might
when we're landing, sometimes it does.
That does because because all of a sudden there's a lot of air pressure in the cabin, right? Which actually hurts your middle ear. So basically, it's everything to do with oxygen. Now here, what this person will do is that, he will walk only for 3 to 4 hours in a day, and then he will make a camp here. He will stay in this camp for a day or two, and then the next day or maybe after 2 3 days again he'll scale up this much portion. He'll make another camp here. Similarly, he will take a break for 2 to 3 days, and higher he goes, the duration will increase to even maybe 3 to 5 days depending on his physical fitness. If he's a very fit person, if he has done enough exercise, if he has done a lot of, oxygen deficit, programs, then he'll be able to take a break of 1 to 2 days and camp here. But what happens is that he's also carrying almost 50 kgs of weight along his shoulder. He's carrying one oxygen cylinder, he's carrying food, he's carrying lots of tools, gears. So, if this person is 70 kgs plus the 50 kg, so it's actually 120 kg of things that he's carrying. Plus, the oxygen levels are less. Right? Plus, it is extremely cold. Maybe here it was -2 here. He is stopping here and halting here and taking breaks. He is basically acclimatizing his body. So this is the word that's coming here. He is acclimatizing himself because he has never, walked in his life at -2 degrees Celsius. So his body, to his cells, to his blood, to his brain, this temperature is new. So he has to allow the temperature to get adjusted. So this short intervals, acclimatization is basically small adjustments because this person is not going to stay here forever. He will just finish the entire trip in 10-15 days and then return back. So these are small adjustments that he has to make, right? His body has to make rather, right? Because his body, I'm just giving an example. This person's body used to take, for example, 75, I'm just giving an example, 75 ounces of oxygen every day. for breathing, for, for all the cells to be healed. He used to have, maybe 2 eggs, 1 glass of milk, rice, roti, dal every day. So his stomach is acquainted to that. But during this, mountaineering trip, he will not be able to have these. Maybe he just has to survive on Maggie twice a day and 2 cups of tea, 1 chocolate, a few biscuits, a few cookies, things that would give him a lot of calories, because he needs calories, he needs oxygen-rich food, right? So in that case, his stomach also has to go through this process of acclimatization. That's known as gut acclimatization.
Ma'am, gut. Can you please tell the spelling?
GUT, gut.
Gut.
Right? The other word for gut means the stomach or the digestive system. Basically the stomach and its associated related areas. Right? So his brain, his heart, his tongue, his body in general has to make a lot of small adjustments which would last only for a short period of time, not permanently. That's known as acclimatization. So the basic difference between acclimatization and adaptation is acclimatization is short term, okay. Coming back to habitat, Fawaz, can you please read out these points in habitat?
Yes, ma'am. The organisms depend on their habitat for their food, water, air, shelter, and other needs. Habitat means a dwelling place, a home. Several kinds of plants and animals may share the same habitat.
Correct. So what do they mean to say here, Fawaz? Explain what you just read. Just explain.
Ma'am, the first one is like many organisms are dependent on where they live in their habitat,
Correct.
and food, water, air, shelter, and other needs. They are
Correct.
dependent.
Correct.
Second point is habitat meaning is like habitat is a home.
It means a place to dwell. What is the meaning of dwell? Dwell means to stay. A place where one can stay. So what is the place where one can stay? It is home. That is where we stay. Right? So in case of birds and animals, we cannot call it they have a home. We call it their dwelling place or their habitat. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Next point.
And the third one is many types of plants and animals maybe share the same habitat.
Hmm.
Ma'am, can I have give an example?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, in the history I have learned that many of the people, even in the olden times, they used to live in the like the places where there is near rivers.
Correct.
I think that's a great example for the first one, a shelter also. And nowadays, even I can give an example because people more used to go to the towns and settle there more than going to the villages.
Hmm. That is more because of the necessity, because of the job opportunities in towns and cities. Right? The opportunities in villages are less. That's the reason why they are migrating. But here what they mean to say is that basically, for example, what do I give an example? For example, a desert habitat. Right? For example, a camel stays here. Right? A camel will be dependent for its food. What will it have its food for here in the desert? So basically,
Cactus?
no, not really cactus, but yes, some kind of green plants. Because cactus has got thorns, spines, so it would prevent animals from eating away. Right? So basically, it requires food and shelter. So when it comes to food, it can have green plants. Apart from cactus, also deserts have a few green plants which are being had by the camel and other goats and other herbivores there. And when it comes to shelter, maybe the camel might not every camel would have a proper shed, but it would love to stay in a sandy environment. Dry, sandy, less of water is okay with him, right? And to stay in such an habitat, what is the adaptation that a camel has done? Any idea?
It
What
will
will
store more food and water.
Correct. So it has got a storage capacity. It can store both food and water. Normally the hump that we see in the back of a camel, that's basically deposits of fat,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
They store.
And when it falls short of water, it can derive or extract water from those fat deposits in the hump, right? There are few more adaptations that a camel has done. Can you tell me what all?
Ma'am, it has ma'am, can I tell?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, it has padded feet so that the sand does not burn its feet, as sand can quickly get hot and very quickly get cold also.
Ma'am,
And camel has three eyelets to prevent the dust from going in, and
Very
it
good.
has
Yes.
long eyelashes,
Very
and
good.
it also ma'am, it also has some sort of like special jaw structure, which, like I was telling you, it can eat cactus. So so it is like it has some type of special jaw that helps it eat the cactus without getting hurt.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Okay.
ma'am, can I add one point?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I was having a bag that was made up of this camel's the skin, and that was too hot. Maybe I think that is like a cover for its body. Like
I'm not too sure if it has a cover, but then again, camel skin is normally very rough,
yeah,
right?
that's what I
Very
was
rough and very thick and
trying
rough.
to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing, one of the reasons why camels have long legs is that so that, its legs are away from the sand. The sand is so hot, if, the body was very close to the sand, its body would have got very hot. So with the long legs and the long neck, what happens is that the brain and the body, everything is away from the sand, hot sand. So that is how it keeps itself cool. So these are the adaptations, which the camel has done to adjust itself to a desert habitat.